Welcome into another edition of the Weekly Burn. It's your Firebirds broadcasters, Ian Nicholas, Dylan Pescatore, here to talk about the first week of the Firebirds season. Some ups, some downs. But Dylan, we're a week into this thing. What's the one thing that's really stood out to you just about being on the Cape?
Well, I think it's been amazing, and I couldn't trade it for anything in the world, right? So the experience, what you get to do on an off day, what you get to do on a game day has been great. In terms of Firebirds baseball, there's nothing better than being at Eldridge almost every single night, watching the Birds play. So it's a gift. It's a real experience, and I wouldn't take anything else over it.
Definitely a gift to be at Eldridge on any night, but obviously the Firebirds started the season Saturday against Hyannis on the road in McKeon Park, and a lot of good things happened. It all started with Daniel Avitia on the mound, but some timely offense as well.
Yeah, it was all about timely hitting, and I think that's something that the Firebirds had earlier, especially in the Hyannis game. Also, things kind of broke their way, right? So that top of the ninth inning with two broken bats hits that came their way, and in the few games that have kind of happened after that, those type of things have kind of happened to the Firebirds. So good luck in the first few games, and then as we've gotten along we've played 6 now. Sometimes the luck has kind of turned.
The luck definitely started to turn in the home opener on Sunday against Harwich. The offense with 3 runs. The pitching, which was so good the night before, though, was more of a concern with double-digit runs given up. Now, Harwich is kind of proven throughout the year that they've got a lot of guys in that lineup who can hit the ball really hard, but double-digit runs against is still double-digit runs against.
Yeah, it was a home opener spoiled, which actually started, Ian, with the sprinkler.
Oh my gosh.
Behind the mound, if you remember it.
I tried to block it out of my memory.
I mean, there were ideas that the game was not going to go on.
I didn't think it would.
I honestly was with you. I've never seen something like that before. And when I saw it, I was like, that is the worst thing that could happen and in the worst spot on the field. But thankfully, thanks to true veteran Chris Clark out of Harvard, came out and tarped the mound, even though the sprinkler was still going on. They eventually got it fixed, and we started on time. But the home opener was spoiled, a 10-3 loss. However, the next night, they got a win at home.
Facts. And first of all, shout out to Chris Clark, 2-year Firebird. And we know, maybe in June, July, MLB draft coming up soon. We wish you the best of luck as a 2-year Firebird. Then the week rolls on. You bounce back against Bourne. Now, Bourne, a team that has also kind of gotten off to a bit of a slow start offensively. But still, you have 6 runs in that third inning against the Bourne Braves. A lot of great things happened in that inning. The Johnny Olmstead home run was one thing, but there was a lot that went into that moment.
Yeah, and I think they've played 49 innings because of the 5 inning one against Wareham, and in that inning that has been their best inning so far this year.
Yeah.
It was all about the potential we knew this team has, and we know this team still has, all coming through in one inning. The 6 runs we talk about, there was a sac fly by Fenwick Trimble, and of course the 3-run bomb by Johnny Olmstead. This team has definitely showed flashes of what they did in that inning, loading the bases, finding a way on base, putting the ball in play. However, they haven't gotten the big hit like they did with Olmstead on that Monday night.
The Weekly Burn, our first real episode of it in the middle of the season, Dylan Pescatore, Ian Nicholas. So the offense was able to pick it up against Bourne, but as you mentioned, you kind of alluded to, next 2 games away from the friendly confines of Eldridge, you go to Chatham, you go to Wareham, and especially against Chatham, you just ran into a brick wall with Brody Brecht, 4 innings, and then 5 innings of Matt Wilkinson.
Yeah, it was, like you said, it was the pitcher's night and not the Firebirds hitter's night. You wash it, you flush it, and then the next night they play at Wareham, the long drive over off the Cape, and you have a rain and lightning in the area, you get 5 done. You even had a 2-0 lead in that game as well, and it looked going up. It really looked positive. However, the bounces didn't go their way. The infield wasn't very kind to them in Wareham either. And eventually they lost, and the 5 innings were up, and the rain came down, and we were just lucky that our equipment didn't get damaged.
Oh my gosh. There were some images circulating around Twitter, me climbing up and down a ladder, and the cage, and the setup in Wareham. Look, again, we flush it. Just like the rain that came down, we flush it. The equipment, it worked when we broadcasted the game yesterday. Well, technically today we're recording this, but yesterday when we had that game back at home against the good old Cotuit Kettleers. So, obviously not a terrific offensive showing when you look at the one run, but you do have to take away a lot of positives from continuously loading the bases. You loaded the bases 3 different times in that game, Dylan. There was a lot of good things. Just, again, that one big hit away.
Like you said, Ian, it was a lot of good things. Walks. I think they walked a good amount of times today, yesterday, whenever you're listening. They also got a lot of good hits. I think Jake Hyde has been really having great at-bats. I think Austin Overin has really started to have a good at-bats and using his speed. Jack Penny has been hot as well. It's each player is almost having their one good game, and then it kind of rotates. The players need to have a great game together, and it's always about playing together. So can we get an Austin Overin and a Jack Penny and an Eddie Micheletti and a Jake Casey game all together where everyone's hitting? That's what we're still waiting on.
We're still waiting on it, and I know you guys have been waiting on it, but it's time to announce our first Firebird of the week.
Drum roll, please.
And this was an easy choice at the end of the day. Jack Penny's been good over the last few games, so honorable mention, Jack Penny.
100%.
The defense has been good at third. The bat for Jack starting to get hot after that late season injury in Notre Dame. He's starting to find his timing, but it's got to be Daniel Avitia, the right-handed pitcher out of Grand Canyon. Started against Hyannis in the season opener, threw 4 innings, didn't give up an earned run, and then against Cotuit on Friday, 5 innings, only gave up 1 run, and has been striking out guys left and right. What's the most impressive thing about him so far, Dylan?
It has to be the changeup. The fastball's there, and the fastball always plays, but his changeup just drops off the table, right? So he's facing righty hitters, some powerful conferences, and great numbers that they put up in college. And Daniel Avitia is looking like, or making them look like they've never picked a bat up before. It's so nasty. He gets consistent swing and miss with that changeup, and he has been great. 2 starts, like you said, Ian, and he both gave the team a chance to win in both.
Gave the team a chance to win in both. Orleans got the win in the first one, and our sideline reporter, Sammy Miller, caught up with the man himself after his start, and to see his latest start, that is, and to see where his mind's at and what really has been working for him.
I'm now joined alongside the Firebirds starting pitcher tonight, Daniel Avitia from GCU. You went 5 innings with 5 strikeouts. How'd you feel on the mound tonight?
Felt pretty good. Yeah, my pitches were feeling pretty good. Just had 1 bad pitch that kind of cost me, but other than that, I felt pretty good.
And at the top of the 5th, bases were loaded. What was the mindset to get that final out?
Just minimize, honestly. Just minimize and try to keep my team in it.
And what do you think those adjustments that need to be made in order to get the win against Brewster and the next few games as well?
Just in-game adjustments, honestly. Just something's not working, try to adjust it in between innings or on the mound, whichever helps, I guess.
And now here you have your GCU teammate, Nathan Ward. How does it feel to have not only a fellow Lope, but also a fellow pitcher out here?
Feels great. It just shows you what GCU's talent is, and it's also great because me and Ward also always throw like in season and stuff, so we always help each other out with our pitches and stuff. So it's just kind of like a comfort level, I guess.
And tonight was the first game that you had Henry Hunter behind the plate for you. How would you evaluate your chemistry?
It was great. He came up to me before the game. He was like, "Hey, what do you like to do?" and all that. He's just me and him just had a great connection. That's about it.
And it seems like you guys are already a pretty tight-knit bunch, even though you've only had, this is the 6th game that you guys have played together. So how do you think that has helped you guys so far?
I feel like it's helped us a lot. We're all just pretty close already. We've all been getting along ever since kind of the first day. On our off day, we all just hanged out together at the beach, so it's pretty good.
How did you enjoy the beach? Did you like it compared to, I know Arizona doesn't have beaches, but the West Coast?
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it out there. The water was very cold, but I love the beach. I'll be there probably all summer on our off days, that's for sure.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, Sammy. Daniel dominating against the West Division this week in both games against Hyannis and Cotuit. But now, Dylan, we flip the page towards next week with Orleans sitting at 2-4 without a win in the East Division, and a lot of East Division matchups coming up, and it starts later today against Brewster on the road.
Like you said, Ian, depending on the weather, depending on what's going on.
Yes.
Brewster is at 5 o'clock on Saturday, the 17th. Along with, then you move to Sunday. Harwich comes to town again to Eldridge. And then Yarmouth Dennis comes to Eldridge. So a lot of East opponents, as you said, you always want to win your divisional games. You can impact, 1v1 players or teams that you're chasing in terms of the Firebirds are chasing at this point. And then depending, of course, an off day, and then Brewster again. So it's 4 straight games against Eastern Division opponents, rain or not. And it's a stretch that the Firebirds really, I know it's early, and you want to say it's early, but those are games that are really getting more important as the days go along.
And regardless of if the Brewster game happens later today or next Wednesday, the next guy on the mound who needs to play an important role with this team in the weeks coming ahead if they want to turn this thing around to where it is right now is Cam Leiter. Cam Leiter, one of, if not the most talented pitcher in terms of raw stuff on this roster. Obviously comes from a big program, going to an even bigger program in Florida State. The family name, whatever you want to say. First start a little up and down, right? So what are the things that you're most looking to see with Cam in his second start?
I'm really looking forward to how dominant he can be when he even has 2 pitches working. He only had the fastball going in his first start against Harwich, which was the home opener, and it just wasn't working. The Harwich batters were keying in on the fastball. They knew that the curve, along with the slider and the changeup, weren't on their game. They locked in the fastball, and it was a struggle for Cam out there. If he had just one more pitch working, he would have the entire opposing lineup at his will, right? So if he gets 2, 3, I don't even want to know what happens if 4 pitches start to get working and how great he could look. I just want to see him get his control under wraps and how good he can be when he's pinpointing each pitch.
The only thing that I've ever had in my will is a bucket of popcorn in a movie theater. But you know what? Cam, I'm going to have my popcorn out whenever he's playing next, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's tonight against Brewster. Cam Leiter, he certainly brings the great stuff to the mound. But the last thing I want to touch on, I think we should touch on before we sign off for this edition of the Weekly Burn, we've kind of made this a little segment on the broadcast where we kind of chime in and give our prediction for who's going to be the one player our pick to click. So, I guess since it's the Weekly Burn, we can make it the Weekly Click, whatever. Doesn't need to be an offensive player. We usually focus in on one offensive player in the lineup that day to click. But if maybe you had to make a prediction for your weekly pick to click, maybe as someone who could be our weekly player next week, who is your weekly pick to click?
So if our Firebird of the Week, which is Daniel Avitia, had to give the supposed helmet, like the actual team does, to the next player, who would be my player for the next week to really show out and earn the Firebird of the Week award, which is a very prestigious award. Very prestigious. It's up there with the Grammys, the World Series. I mean, it's up there, right? I would say the guy who I think is really having great at-bats is Jake Hyde. Out of Georgetown, the lefty, he hit a foul home run against Harwich, I believe, that I thought was going maybe 400 feet. He puts up great at-bats, very hard to strike out, and continuously has a great plan and approach at the plate. So if I were to choose my supposed next week Firebird of the Week, Jake Hyde is my guy. How about you?
I'm going to go with Jack Penny. I think this is the easy choice, although I like Jake a lot. Seemed like a cool dude, although he did go to a rival high school. Well, grew up in a rival town. So, Jake, I'm not going to give you everything. But I'll give it to Jack because he has looked the best over the last few games, in my opinion. He is starting right now every single day at third base. Obviously, new names will come in, old names will come out, but Jack's expected to be with us, be with the Firebirds throughout the rest of the summer. But timing really looks like it's there. He taking great BP, according to Max Fesky, who absolutely loves the professional approach he brings to that, and I think it's starting to translate to the field. So I really like what Jack is doing right now. He is my pick to click, and I think both of those choices, pretty good choices. But hey, we'll see if we should be predicting lotto numbers or if we should be, just sticking to our jobs.
Maybe
of
the
calling the
50-50s are in our next call.
The 50-50 raffle. I mean, honestly, we should be banned from. We could probably have inside information there. Don't worry, we're not going to cheat. That is for the fans and for the people of Eldridge Park. That's all we got for now, though, on this edition of A Weekly Burn. Sammy Miller, Dylan Pescatore, Ian Nicholas, signing off. Again, Brewster Whitecaps tonight, 5 o'clock on the road. Listen to our radio broadcast on our YouTube channel. 4:45 is when the scorching start begins. And if there is rain, follow our socials at Orleans Firebirds on Twitter and Instagram to check out for Mother Nature. That's all we got. Thanks so much for tuning in to this edition of A Weekly Burn.